So I have learned being a fan of anything when it's brought into the mainstream is rough because generally you're going to get a bastardization of stuff that you like and enjoy because of, current trends. Let's say you were a fan of westerns and like the books that they came from during the 70s, and then and then you got the concept of spaghetti westerns, or more so of current trends, say Star Wars or comic books, and then you just got Hollywood going through a phase of basically diversity and gay panic and weird shit, and now we got currently what we got going on. But all all of that is to say that I feel as if I get the worst of it. Um, well, actually, we all would feel that, depending on what fandom you are. But I would say, based around my love for the character Spider-Man, I feel that no one has basically not been given his due more so than that character. Now, Spider-Man is the most popular superhero in the world. The um, and yet he has not truly had a proper movie that captured the very essence of Spider-Man. Hell, the best you can get in terms of likability for the character that overall should have been the norm aesthetic for comic book movies going forward would have been Into the Spider-Verse. But Into the Spider-Verse isn't about Peter Parker, it's about Miles Morales. Now, it's the only movie that has done that character well. I'm talking of Miles Morales, but it still isn't about him. Now, it has Peter Parker in it, but it's not about him. Um, and needless to say, Spider-Man 2, which for me is my favorite Spider-Man movie, and I consider the best Spider-Man movie, uh, also just still so many parts of that movie that just kind of don't really do justice to the character. But it's like, if you were to get as close as you possibly could towards the character of Spider-Man, Spider-Man 2 is the way to go. Um, and and it's just like throughout the years, there has never been a Spider-Man movie or Spider-Man iteration that's done stuff where it was like, hey, they showcased and highlighted the relationship between Peter, Gwen, and Mary Jane correctly. They never really had the introduction or his lifestyle throughout college being done correctly. The hardships that he had to went through, where it came from either money or things like that. Just so much stuff that essentially just captures that character and his relevance towards so many people and why he is the most relatable superhero ever. It's just always, just completely washed away. And with Sony basically doing the dumbest thing ever, which is that they sold the rights towards the merchandise and the TV stuff toward to Disney for Spider-Man, it left them with only the movies. And with that came with this other notion of them essentially just having bonehead move after bonehead move after bonehead move. Now, what I'm getting into, basically going for what it is at the title of this video, whatever it may be. I haven't thought of it yet. But essentially, Bounding into Comics did an article, cool or reputable source for anything really nerdy and geeky. They did an article where essentially the director of the new Madam Web movie was speaking. And I guess they decided that the Madam Web movie isn't going to be connected or based around anything. So it's not set in a world where Spider-Man is supposed to appear or, is something connected to any pre-existing Spider-Man movie. But it's about a character that is heavily present for the character Spider-Man, as well as super important for the growth and development of the character of Spider-Man. They're not using basically the secondary Madam Web, who would be a regular person that kind of stumbles into these little time powers, but instead they're using the original Madam Web, who actually is supposed to be a blind, crippled woman that is aware and can sense and uses her abilities to essentially like travel through dimensions, time travel, a whole bunch of other goofy shit that is important towards the Spider-Verse. Realistically, the term kind of brought up by dealing with her before anything else ever really thought of it. Now that I think about technically, but it's it's weird and it's incredibly stupid that they decided to do this, because never has any indication or any involvement when it came to superhero movies by stating or establishing that that what it is that we're doing is not connected to anything and it's not important to anything else has ever fucking worked. Like, I can't stress enough exactly how much of a boneheaded movie it is, that it is to say this, let alone the actual implications that's going to come from it. You are making a movie based off a character that nobody knows about. This is not some character that was a long time coming, waiting for them to get a movie. This isn't someone that everyone really wanted to see connected to the Spider-Man characters. None of that. People don't know who Madam Web is. I barely know the character, and I'm a fan of Spider-Man. So, to assume that even the idea of getting this character, popping them into a movie, having them be involved with like freaking Ezekiel and a bunch of the other Spider Women or Spider Girl later knockoffs, and just kind of diversifying those characters and bringing them to light is supposed to mean or do anything is incredibly idiotic. This is beyond stupid. But needless to say, I say Sony deserves these bad, these very, very bad movies that have done bad. Morbius was something that they deserved, and the coming of Craven is also another movie that they desperately, desperately deserve, because they're bad movies, right? And they're going to remain bad as long as they keep having the stupid idea of copying Disney. Because that's all that they're doing. What they're doing is that they're using Spider-Man, and only Spider-Man, because that's all they got, and taking everything that's related to him and then branching off a bunch of fucking movies. Now, the dumb behind this is that they do not wish to get a Spider-Man. They don't want to get a new Spider-Man because they assume and they think everyone just loves Tom Holland and they can only do or work with Tom Holland. No, you could bring to like a brand new Spider-Man and it would change nothing. Disney could make another fucking Marvel movie with Tom Holland as Spider-Man and your Spider-Man would change nothing. But too fucking stupid. You're so goddamn stupid. And because of this, you have made a slew of movies, and you will make more, of movies that are related and revolve around characters that are involved with Spider-Man, Peter Parker. And these movies have absolutely nothing to do with Peter Parker. And this is where the trouble lies. By essentially copying the Joker, where you had a great movie that was incredibly successful based off of a villain, a big time, well-known villain within the rogues gallery of one of the biggest superheroes in the world that didn't even have that superhero in the movie. It's funny that I say superhero, even though I don't really consider Batman a superhero, but more so a vigilante, but that's besides the point. That success and the okay response behind Venom was something that drove you to think that, oh, we could just coast off of the supporting characters without actually using Spider-Man. Which again, fucking stupid. Now, the Venom movie is a movie that I enjoyed. It was okay, but there's so much wrong with it because of the fact that you do not have Spider-Man in it. So much wrong. Even his namesake. His name wouldn't be apparent without Spider-Man. And that, to me, is the most insulting aspect of that character in that movie. But we got it anyway. And only to have the sequel introduce Carnage, Cletus Cassidy, and just this abysmal attempt at trying to have their relationship and their dichotomy show up, and it just falls so unbelievably fucking flat. So you can have some type of dumbass response of Eddie and Venom having some weird bromance situation going on. I mean, you already forced Venom to, for whatever reason, need to eat chocolate or brains because you're just so smart, Sony. You're so goddamn smart. Then you made Morbius. Unbelievable Morbius. And was so stupid to the point where you did not understand what memes were and how they function in humiliating Morbius that you then decided to re-release the movie, which cost you more money, to which no one actually went to go see because you were so goddamn stupid. You were just so stupid. And now you're releasing a movie based around a character that is not even doing what the character is known for doing and has absolutely no involvement with Spider-Man whatsoever, other than the fact that Ezekiel is wearing a Spider-Man suit when that's not something he even does. The stupidity is palpable. Your ignorance is disgusting. The fact that you basically had it out to do your own thing. You did not need to follow the franchise train that Marvel established for themselves because you see where that goes without any type of direction. The Marvel is at where it's at, and they're constantly losing money because no direction. You see you've seen what happened when essentially you try to copy it and throw wads of money at your projects and again because you lack the understanding of said characters. All you ever did was fall flat when it came towards their actual interpretation. DC Comics, by all standards and metrics, their characters, the comics, has always been bigger than Marvel. Their movies have never done as well as the MCU movies. And that's sad. They've had individual successes, sure, here or there. But the movies or the overall concept of Snyderverse has never done better than the MCU. But you had these things as examples towards what it is that you could possibly do. So you kind of showed your hand at one point in time, if you remember correctly, where when they made their deal with Marvel for using Tom Holland or having Spider-Man within the MCU, essentially their deal was the deal. But then upon Disney kind of wanting to get more money because it's fucking Disney, they decided to backpedal on the deal. And rather than stick to your guns, hold out, and basically just start doing your own thing when it comes to the character, you bitched up. And then you redid a deal with Disney so you could do more stuff with Tom Holland because they desperately needed him for the MCU because basically they were running out of fucking ideas and there was no direction. And you can't tell me that they did not have a slew of people going to go see those movies just because Spider-Man was in it. Because they did. In fact, most of the Spider-Man movies, or the movies that he's connected to, made the most money in like the overall concept of the MCU. So if they were to have dropped him from the MCU, that would have been a problem for them, not you. And even if you had a bunch of nerds clamoring to redo a deal so they could keep Spider-Man, that had no bearing on you whatsoever. People were cool with even having freaking Andrew Garfield coming back to reprise the role. There was nothing wrong with that. So why did you not act on stuff like that? Why did you not cast a brand new Spider-Man? Why don't you have a slew of Spider-Man movies out right now? There have been multiple people to play Batman. Even if people are essentially, where you constantly hear certain things within the media of people saying they're dissatisfied with this person playing Batman and this person playing Batman. Does that change the fact that people still go see these Batman movies? Even the Batman, that movie's 3 hours fucking long and it drags on relentlessly. And I like the movie's great. Like, I like the movie. I really, really do like the movie. Like, it has so many problems. So many problems. He's barely detective. But it has so many problems. But I like the movie. So why is it that you couldn't take a page from essentially how it is that they've been establishing or connecting stuff like that when it comes to Batman and applying that to fucking Spider-Man? You're trying to build up a Sinister Six movie. It's not gonna work. You don't even have a fucking Spider-Man. So it's not gonna work. You're trying so desperately to copy the formula that Marvel did and essentially sprinkle it over with the shit that DC got in their success with the Joker, and you just have absolutely no clue as to what it is your audience would actually want to see. Your audience would want to see Spider-Man because that's who sells. You want these other surrounding characters to actually become big enough to where they can sell movie tickets on their own? Cool. That's actually an okay idea. That's a plausible feat that you can accomplish after they've been established with Spider-Man. You cannot just throw these characters to the wolves and assume that people are just going to gobble it up. No. No one knows anything about them. No one knows the dichotomy about these characters. No one cares about what makes them special and what makes them tick outside of their involvement with the character of what? Spider-Man. So, having these characters, you basically are changing their origin story, changing their concept, having them deal with things where essentially it just kind of depicts them as the anti-hero in every fucking story. Having all of these factors come together will never make them appealing. It will never make them sell. It will never be anything that the average Joe would want to go see unless you have Spider-Man. And it'd be great if you essentially did what Marvel refused to do, which is that you have a bunch of these one-off fucking Spider-Man movies based off of iconic stories that they have. For the love of God, don't do One More Day. But still, anything else would be great. But if you just had a bunch of those stories, bunch of iconic moments, a bunch of wonderful comics that are just brought up and are done, and where you like, you change the story or whatever because Disney owned the comic book or whatever. Well, you do whatever you need to do to get as close as you possibly can without completely plagiarizing it, and you'd be fine. You'd be fine. You own that character for the movies, and Marvel doesn't even do that. Look how much success and how much popularity or how much people start talking about different MCU movies back when they would name those movies after major events within the comic book. Civil War, Infinity War. Like, that shit made nerds happy because they knew what it was based on. When the thing actually came out, had nothing to do with what the comic was. Yet, if it did, it would have been so much better, as well as a stronger film entirely, because it was willing to go that extra mile to actually follow what it is that the fandom liked about that concept in the first fucking place. So why don't you do that? You have every means at your disposal to do it, yet you constantly refuse to do it. Jesus Christ. It's so dumb because it's like you're the product of your own demise. And it's sad because eventually it's just going to get to a point where Sony is either going to be too goddamn stubborn to either sell Spider-Man, or they're just going to be so stupid that they will sell Spider-Man, and then they're probably going to sell it to Disney, who are just going to completely fuck over the character. Because they've been doing that in media for years because of the fact that they don't own movie rights. It's quite clever when you look at everything, or when you take a step back and notice the stuff that they have been doing towards the characters that they essentially don't own or they don't have. Much like basically the downgrade and the downplay of the character of the Hulk, as well as what it is that they used to do towards the X-Men, especially within the comics, before they actually bought Fox and were able to finally gain the rights back to X-Men. Because the X-Men were basically fucking dead within the comics, and then magically they just all came back to life. and the Fantastic Four, like they just kind of was just gone. Like they just made them gone after they did the little Secret Wars little event, and then it was like that was it for them. But again, this was all it was all connected to the fact that they didn't own the movie rights to these characters. Fucking sad. It's fucking sad, fucking terrible, but that's what they did. Ugh. So I feel bad that you have these people in these positions making these moves and trying to get these characters to sell or trying to get these movies to sell. And it's like, bitch, I can get you $1 billion. Easy. That's easy. That's real easy. Put me in the writer's room. I could tell you everything that you need to do to make sure that this shit sells. And it's perfectly fine. One, make sure the director don't say shit. Don't give a hint about nothing. Don't talk about nothing. Don't do nothing. Because this movie is going to be, to take from Yellow Flash talking about this movie, but this movie is going to be filled to the brim with Easter eggs about Spider-Man. Like, just gonna just fucking flood this fucking movie. The problem, though, is that it has no connection to Spider-Man. So who cares? Right, there's a bunch of Easter eggs because you know about Spider-Man and this is about Spider-Man. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Who gives a fuck? There's nothing, it has no connection to that character whatsoever. So, whoop-de-damn-do. And it's like, to just live with that mindset and to have that mindset. It's like, yeah, someone sat in the writer room and I'm pretty sure they just thought they were just clever as hell. Oh, we're going to do all this, we're going to do all that. Hell, even looking at the trailer, I thought it was a TV show. I thought it was going to be like a 5-episode short little series thing that was just going to be like, what the fuck is this? And it came, it went, and then it was like, whatever. It was like, no, this is a movie coming out in theaters soon. It's like next month. Why? Who okayed this, Madam Web? Why? Because she's a woman. Hear her roar. That's connected to Spider-Man, and we own Spider-Man. All superhero things sell. No, they don't. They really don't. So, just unbelievably stupid. They deserve this. And they're not going to learn from their mistakes. Because, I mean, every company and every business that has been dealing with this dumb shit, whether it be movies, video games, comics, hell, even fucking anime now. We got a video coming on about that later. They've seen exactly how negative of an impact this type of thinking is towards this product or towards this media, and they refuse to change. So I say let them crash and burn. It's like look at all these other people coming out with basically basic shit as a retaliation towards all the dumb ideas that these big companies have been making, and they've been making bank off of it. And with me, I just get upset at the fact that it's like, yeah, they're making bank off of basic. Like, God, what if they actually was like insanely creative and they were doing things that blew you out of the water? That we have a whole different fucking conversation then. But we don't. So, by all means, keep the party going. This movie is going to be a shit show. People aren't going to talk about it. They're just going to talk about how stupid you are. And then you're going to release Craven, and you're just going to hype up how violent it is. And again, it's going to be a very stupid movie. Because you're stupid. What makes Craven special? He's a Spider-Man villain. What makes Venom special? He's a Spider-Man villain. What made Morbius special? He was a fucking Spider-Man villain. Just for a little side note, I have a friend who constantly kept trying to instigate the fact that since they're doing a Morbius movie, does that mean they're going to introduce Blade? And I would have to stop and explain to him constantly, Blade is owned by Marvel. Sony's doing this movie. Morbius ain't got shit. Morbius, even though he's a vampire in the Marvel world, and as much as they did that and they used it well within the animated series to introduce Blade within Spider-Man, that character will never pop up in this movie. Stop asking for it. It's not gonna happen. This pipe dream of yours is an unrealistic one. Just give up. Just give up. And then he would go, and then he would actually was like, Well, then why? Like? So is Morbius gonna just fight Spider-Man? I went. Spider-Man isn't in the movie. He's in what? Why would I go see it? I was like, that's a good fucking question, and I don't even know if he's seen it or not. No, I think he started watching it and then he like didn't even get to finishing it because he was just no, there was just no way. But yeah, by all means, just stay the course. Stay the course. Eventually, someone is going to get their hands on Spider-Man and do right by this character. I have hope for that as well as for Batman. But where it is now, oh God, no. You people are just so terrible. So very terrible. Like, seriously, at the end of Morbius, why the fuck would the Vulture meet him as if that means anything? Like, just. Oh man, like they're doing some weird Avenger shit, but it's like with the Sinister Six. But the Sinister Six was made to go against Spider-Man, and if you have no Spider-Man, what is the point of the Sinister Six? Like, and then there wouldn't be anything correct in terms of Spider-Man fighting these characters because of the fact that one of the reasons he's able to defeat them is because with his prior knowledge of these characters after fighting them singular, when he fights them together, even though their teamwork is something that he can't handle, eventually he's able to overcome it. Whether it be through talking and manipulating them, having them get on each other's nerves, having them use their powers against one another, different shit like that. But if you can't establish that properly, your movie's gonna be shit. But then again, all of your movies are shit. I've been talking for too long. So yeah, that's it. This has been another episode of Fun Flame. I've been your host, Daniel the Flame, and as always, good people. I hope you had fun.